Good morning, Rowan. We are about ready to start our next project, and we are going to be creating our own picture of a solar system. It won't necessarily be our own because we want to play around with colors and use some complementary colors potentially, or some other warm and cool color schemes. So we will be having fun that way, but we're going to talk a little bit about planets and what a solar system is, and about comets and meteoroids and asteroids. So the supplies that you are going to need today would be your sheet of paper that I have for you. You're going to want a pencil, an eraser. You're going to want your oil pastels for adding color and blending. And in the very end, we'll be using our watercolors to put a colored background wash on our projects. So let's go ahead and get started on talking about our solar system. So right here in this image, we have a project that Mr. Warner did. And this is normally what the first graders work on. So I don't know if you had a chance to talk about planets and space so far in your lessons in first grade. But you can see here we have several planets that we're seeing. We're seeing one kind of really up close, and this one is farther away. This one has rings around it. We can see a comet, and we know this is a comet because it has a little gas trail. You can see asteroids, which are bigger rocks and shapes, and smaller meteoroids, which are also out in space as well. So first we want to just talk about what some of those words mean. And I'm going to show you some pictures of our solar system. So a solar system, what that means is it's a bunch of planets that rotate around a star. So we have a star, we call it our sun, and we have 8 planets that orbit. That means that they go in circles around the sun. And this orbiting is caused by the gravity of the sun. So that helps pull in these planets and keep them where they are located in these concentric circles around the sun. Our solar system has 8 planets. So we have the sun at the center, and orbiting around it is the planet Mercury. Then next comes Venus, which is the hottest planet in our solar system. And then we have Earth. And you can see here, Earth is very blue because we are primarily a planet with water. And then after that comes Mars. And then we have the largest planet in our solar system called Jupiter that follows. And Jupiter and the planet after it, Saturn, are both very much what we call gas giants, that they have less mass than Earth, or at least Saturn does, but because it is primarily gases. So we have Jupiter, which is the largest, and the second largest is Saturn. And you can see Saturn is very special because it has these beautiful rings that go around it. Now Saturn, these rings that are around it are made out of ice and rocks that circle around the planet of Saturn. And after Saturn, we have Uranus. And then after Uranus, we have Neptune. These are the 8 planets that are a part of our solar system. Now, in the solar system, many of the planets have moons that go around and orbit around each of the planets. We also have in our solar system and in solar systems throughout space what we call asteroids. Now, asteroids, considered minor planets or objects that are large, they vary in size, and they are orbiting. So they're not kind of coming towards a particular planet, but they're orbiting around a star or the sun. Now, the objects that are smaller than asteroids are called meteoroids, and those orbit around a sun, and they usually are made out of rock and metal. They are rock and metal objects. Now, you might have seen, as in our picture here from Mr. Warner, we have what we call comets. And comets are different from asteroids and meteoroids in that they are icy, small rocks that are a part of our solar system. And as they get closer to the star or a sun, they start to warm up. They release gases that are seen in the atmosphere and what we call tails. When their gases are released, it appears to us to be like a tail that goes across the sky like a shooting star. So those are the basics of a solar system. We are going to be creating kind of our own solar system. So we're going to be making a solar system with a couple different planets, maybe some meteoroids and asteroids, and maybe a couple of comets. I want you to have fun. We're going to play around. I love the idea of putting rings like Saturn has around one of my planets. So you can decide kind of how you want to do it. But the main thing that we are going to do once we have our planets in are choose some fun colors for them that will be using our color theory, which we have talked a little bit about this year. So to get started, we are going to take our sheet of paper. And I am, Mr. Warner's didn't have a sun, but I'm going to put in the corner, the bottom left corner of my paper, this is going to be my sun. Okay, so that I know for certain is going to be like a bright yellow or orange. Now, you can put, what we mostly want to do is make an interesting drawing. So you can put different circle-sized circles on your paper to represent the different planets that you want to do. I think in this one we have at least 4. We could maybe say that that is also a planet as well. And these are definitely asteroids. So for you, part of what we want to decide is we want to make it interesting. So we want them to vary in size. For you, part of what we want to decide is we want to make it interesting. So we want them to vary in size and in different locations. I'm going to maybe do a cluster here of some. Now, around some of our planets, we might want to include a moon that would be going around it. I think I'm going to put a big planet here, and that will be the one like Saturn that I'm going to put rings around. You can kind of see, it's hard to see what some of those are. I hope that you can just experiment and feel like, oh, I'm going to try some new things. I don't know if that quite works, so we'll have to see. So that's going to be the size of a big one. I think I'm going to put another one here. And then I'm going to have, I might relocate this one. While you're figuring out how you want your planets to go, it's okay to kind of change your mind. I think I wanted that bigger because that will make my drawing more interesting. You can add then what might be our comets, icy particles that as they get close to the sun, they start to warm up and gases are released. And so we get this beautiful tail. I'm going to have at least one there. I'm excited about my rings here. So we'll see what that looks like once we add color. You could add some asteroids. Those are bigger objects and shapes that stay in orbit around a planet. Or you could make some even smaller ones, and those would be, and I'm going to have some of those. Those would be the meteoroids. They can be so small that they're like micro, and we just call them space dust. But putting a couple of those in several different spaces will make parts of our drawing interesting. All right. I want you to pause this video at any point if you want to still kind of keep thinking about what you're going to do for your space. If you are just not certain how you want it to look, you can erase and adjust and switch things around. I'm getting a plain sheet of paper here to go underneath my drawing so that you can see it better, but also when I draw to the edges, I won't be getting it on my table. We're going to talk about colors in just a second, but because I know this is going to be our star in our solar system, or a sun, I've chosen a bright yellow that I have in my oil pastels, and I'm going to start filling that in. And that will help me decide maybe what some of the other colors I'm going to use. Now I've got several different yellows. I don't know what you have left of your oil pastels. So sometimes it's nice to not just have one solid same color, and it's nice to try to have some lights and darks. Two different yellows. I'm going to go in and I have this yellow orange, and I'm going to use that to give you a sense of stars are just big gas balls. And so if I make some wavy lines, that'll make you feel like it's radiating out, which might be kind of fun. Okay, when we're deciding about the colors of our planets, I want you to be thinking about different color schemes. I'm pretty certain that we've talked about warm and cool colors. Now, this is a color wheel, and basically it's the spectrum of light separated into all of the colors that make light. We have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. When we divide it in half, we get our warm colors here from red to yellow. These are considered warm colors, and they always look really nice together. If you look at the other half, where we have violet, blue, and green, these are considered cool colors. And again, they tend to look very nice together as well. When we talk about color schemes, which are choosing a limited amount of colors to use together, this is one way that people frequently will choose for their color scheme. So they might choose warm colors or cool colors. Now, there are other color schemes that you can choose as well. Complementary colors are colors that are across from each other on the color wheel. These are very common combinations, and you'll often see them if you just pay attention to things at a store or like the colors of a school. They often are complementary colors. So our main complementary color schemes are red and green, orange and blue, yellow, and purple or violet. The reason why these are such striking color patterns is because that color opposite on the color wheel creates such a strong contrast. So the orange and the blue, they make the other stand out. Same thing with the purple and the yellow. These are really nice color combinations. Last one that we'll talk about are using analogous colors, colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, limited to 2 or 3. That would be warm colors and cool colors. Those are analogous colors. But you could also choose to do it like this, where you would have violet, red, and orange. Or you could choose blue, violet, and red. And then we have our cool colors, green, blue, and purple. Or you could do a combination of a yellow, green, and blue. You can use analogous colors, which are colors next to each other, 2 or 3 colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. You can do warm and cool colors, and you can do colors that are across from each other on the color wheel, and those are called complementary. What I would love for us to do is to do a little bit of each one of those types of color schemes to fill in our planets. What I want us to start with is to have a cool color and a warm color planet. So take my big planet here, and I am going to choose to do a cool color scheme with it. Purple, blue, and green. And I think I'm going to create stripes across mine. And I'll do it with my blue, and I'll put those lines across. And I'm going to use the cool color scheme to fill it in. Got blue, and then we'll do purple, green, and then we'll do blue again. I'm using my oil pastel on the side. We did the blue, and now I'll choose a violet. Again, I'm using it on its side, and that helps to really fill the space in fast. And then I'm going to use my green. I'm using my dark green because that is more of a cool color. If I used a really light yellow green, that would lean more towards a warm color. Okay, so I've got my cool color here, planet here. So I've got my blue, purple, green, which we have on this side. That means I need to do a warm color, red, orange, and yellow. And I think I will do that one here. And I think what I will do is I'm going to start off with the yellow, and I'm going to fill it in. Then I'm going to take my orange, and I'm just going to do some swirls around it. And that creates some lines like we have. And then I'm going to grab my red. Now I started with the yellow because all the other colors keep getting darker and they will show up on top of the yellow. What's most important is that you don't have any white left, because when we use watercolor on top of this, anything that is white will get colored in with paint, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, so now we have a warm colored planet and a cool colored planet. The next thing that I want you to do is to choose one of our complementary colors. So that would be red and green, orange and blue, or purple and yellow, and use one of those complementary colors to do another planet. I think I'm gonna do red and green. It'll be my Christmas planet. I'm going to divide, I'm going to outline my planet in red, and I'm going to divide it, and I'm going to make the outside of it red, fill in a little chunk of it in the complementary color green. Now I want you to notice that when I overlapped the green on the red, it makes kind of a grayish brown color. If you ever are mixing colors and you want to make gray or brown, you would mix complementary colors together. So blue and orange make brown, red and green make brown, purple and yellow make a brown or a gray. So if you ever are trying to mix some other colors and you need to make a neutral, that's a really fast way of doing it. I think for another complementary color set, I'm going to use purple and yellow. And I'm going to do these small planets over here. I'm going to do, instead of doing them two colors, I'm just going to use those two colors in this space. So I'll do a yellow one. Now I want to show you what happens. So I'm going to mix it. I'm going to put yellow around the edges of my purple. You can kind of see how they blend. All right, so I've got two complementary color schemes. I think I'll do the blue and orange, and I'll do those over here. And I'll do the same thing. I'll do some of these little asteroids orange. It's interesting to see those complementary color schemes and see which ones you like better. The warm and cool too. I've got another set of little asteroids. I think I'm gonna stick with my purple and yellow, and I'm gonna do a couple of these over here in that purple and yellow complementary color scheme. Now this planet had a moon, and I think I'll do that in the green to keep with our red and green complementary color scheme. Okay, that's exciting. We've already used quite a bit of our color theory. Now these are going to be asteroids, and you can see in Mr. Warner's, he does his asteroids brown and gray. And I think that is a fun idea. I'm going to turn my space painting drawing upside down, and I'm going to take out my brown. And these shapes don't necessarily have to be round. They do circle in orbit around a sun, but they tend to be much smaller than a planet. They're called mini planets, really, because they're orbiting, but they're quite a bit smaller. You can create a gray by putting black down and adding white over it. So I've got my asteroids. We have our planets. We have our asteroids. I need to still do my comet, and I need to do this last planet over here. For our last planet, I want us to use analogous colors, colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. And when I look at this, I'm thinking, I don't want to do blue and green because that's so similar to this one. I'm thinking maybe I'll do a green and a yellow. Those two are analogous. They sit next to each other on the color wheel. I'm going to outline my planet in the yellow. Actually, I think I'll probably fill it in because again, the yellow is really light. Anything will be able to go over it. You can see that with the oil pastels, you can see the pencils through it when you use the light colors. I'm going to do the band around it, and I think I've got two different greens. This is kind of a gray green. And I'm going to outline the planet in my light yellow green. So I hope you're just having fun playing with this. I'm going to put a light green spot on this planet. And you can always, if you press firmly with these, you can blend colors on top of each other, which is what is really fun about the oil pastels, even though they make your hands feel a little sticky. So far, pretty exciting seeing a bunch of different planets. We've got our star or our sun. The last thing that we're going to do is put a little comet in. Our comet, I'm going to make warm colors. And I'm going to use my yellow for the main shape, add a little bit of a light orange. And then, remember, it's coming close and warming up, so it releases and thaws, and gases then show in the atmosphere and create a tail. And we'll use our red as well. Got red, orange, and yellow, a warm color scheme. I want you to tap that on the table that gets any of the loose pieces that you have. I'm going to take my white now, and I'm just going to make little spots on my paper that you will not be able to see until we add our background. Those are like the stars off in the distance, the other stars that are outside of this solar system. So we want to just put some white, and you can kind of put some together, close together, some far away. Just put little marks all around. And they look like a mystery. You can't see them very well. But as soon as we get our watercolor down, you'll be able to see them. Okay, so I'm just going to go over my purple just a little bit. There are a couple little white spots that I think I want to get rid of. I'm going to do the same with the blue. Now we used it on the side, and that created a little bit of that allows a little bit more of that white to show. Okay, I'm going to set my color wheel to the side. I'm going to move my paper so that it has the black paper all around it to protect my, my table. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab a paintbrush or towel. I've got my water here. I think if you have a pretty big paintbrush, that you're going to want to use it. Like, man, I've got some that are even bigger than that. And the reason why you want to have a bigger one is because we're not going to be painting detail. We just want to cover all the white spots with our sky color. Now, Mr. Warner did a really fantastic light purple on his. I really don't like my purple. I've got like a purpley blue. So we'll see. If I hate it, I might use some other watercolors. But we have a really nice purple here. You can see the background. It's going to make everything pop and look great. So you can choose, I would say like a blue or a purple would be nice for your night sky. Even though our planets are all fun colors, we want to keep the sky, I think, a little bit like we would see it in in the solar systems that we can see through telescopes here from Earth. So we'll keep that background color right. Okay, so I'm going to get my paints very wet. And because I have such an ugly purple, I'm kind of mixing my own here. I don't know why this set of paints just does such a bad job. So I'm going to see, I've kind of got this dark bluey red, but we're just going to do what we call a wash over our paper. And you can see that's my dark blue purple. I've got red here, so I'm adding it. And I'm going to I can wash right over the planets, okay? And what you will see happens, and now I'm not going to go over this part of the yellow, but the gas rays that I was putting in, I'm going over that because I want to get in between them so you can see that those aren't solid. And I'm just going to keep going over it. And as you can see, we are using the technique of resist that allows all of our planets to show up. And you can see all the white marks I made because they resist the paint. And whenever you use crayons or oil pastels and you add a wet paint, it will resist the paint. And it creates this wonderful effect of your ability to put a background in over top what you created. All right, I'm loving that. I'm loving that we can start to see all of the extra stars that we put in. And I gotta mix my... So hopefully as you do this, all of your stars will show up. You can continue if you feel like there's, like here it's kind of light. I can add a little bit more paint to that. I think it's because that's such a dirty blue. That's why it makes such a bad purple. Anyways, so I can add a little bit more. Now, depending on how dark yours is and how you like it, you can also go in with some paper towel. And I can go over top and we can do what we call lifting out. I can lift out the paint that I put in like that. So you can take it out. If that feels too dark, you know, I can lift that out. But I actually liked how dark that was. So I'm just gonna add a little more paint back in there because I know my oil pastels will keep resisting it. I like this a little bit lighter. We'll keep this a little bit darker for contrast. I'm going to just go over my comet a little bit because I want that to still not get totally lost. Right, so there we have our planet, and my paper is still pretty wet. You can see the movement of the water on here. We want to let our paintings completely dry, and as they dry, that paint that we have put on top will dry out over our oil pastels, and our oil pastel planets and asteroids and meteoroids and planets will all start to pop. So I hope you had fun talking about solar systems and creating your own. I look forward, Rowan, to seeing what kind of solar system you created and what your planets look like. So there's a final shot of my solar system project. Post yours on Seesaw, and I look forward to seeing it at the end of this week. Have a great day.